What's the meaning of the black barrier?
The black barrier is to tell Joseph Walker if you don't organize yourself in a respectful manner, we'll take your Liberia.
You might say what you want to say, but for us, we are here to make sure we build our country, that we are respected. We have donors that are coming because of the confidence.
Some news summary of 12. My name is Sangar represent.
Welcome to News and Analysis, 30 minutes of news presentation about Liberia, Africa, and our one world.
Presenting this newscast is proudly sponsored by Orange Liberia and EcoBank Liberia Limited.
How is life after the presidency?
But before the presidency, the same life, that's what you see. I live a different life. You know, when I was not president, this life, that's what I live, you know, with my family and
I have a lot of interest in the health sector, the educational sector, and the agriculture sector, both connected.
Candidacy of Madam Edith Gongwe in the Nimba senatorial by-election in an effort to promote agriculture production. ArcelorMittal Liberia donates farming tools and supplies to local farmers in Nimba County. And out of Liberia, U.S. Embassy in Zambia wants its citizens to be aware of a new intrusive cybersecurity law introduced in the Southern African countries. These developments, plus more, including the voices of the newsmakers, sports, and the bulletin of news, are all parts of today's edition of the program News Desk. Let's take a short break to be right back. Welcome back and thanks for rejoining us. Up next is the Bulletin of News with Johnson Batoma. Good evening, Johnson.
Good evening, Akida. Good evening to all. President Joseph Walker has by proclamation declared Tuesday, April 22, 2025, a national holiday to be observed only in Nimba County due to the conduct of the by-election. According to a foreign ministry release, the proclamation calls on all citizens and foreign residents within Nimba County to respect the holiday. All government offices, business houses, private and public institutions of learning and marketplaces in Nimba are to be closed on the day from 6 o'clock a.m. to 6 o'clock p.m. The proclamation emphasized that the government of Liberia is desirous of ensuring the unhindered movement of all eligible voters, granting them the opportunity to exercise their political franchise in Nimba County in a peaceful manner on the day of election. Former Liberian President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf has officially endorsed the candidacy of Madam Edith Gongwe in the Nimba senatorial by-election. Madam Sirleaf said Liberia cannot be left behind when other countries are moving forward to give women the rightful place in leadership. The former Liberian president, who served the country for 12 years, declared that anyone who stops women is stopping progress in the world. Speaking at a fundraising event Thursday in Monrovia, former Liberian President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf said Edith Gongwe, who served as superintendent in Nimba, or served as superintendent of Nimba during her administration show integrity, dedication, and commitment. She called on all women, particularly the women of Nima County, to vote for Elif, stating that she would do well in the legislature. ArcelorMittal Liberia has donated essential farming tools, seeds, and supplies to local farmers in Lakbai Town, Yemi district in Nima County. This support aims to boost agricultural farming, promote food security, and provide alternative livelihoods for residents in the company's host communities. The initiative is being implemented by the Nima-based NGO, Rural Integrated Center for Community Empowerment. As the Meta CEO, Marco Vendi Dasmewi says, the company wants to help communities become more self-reliant and take advantage of growing market opportunities around them. He described Lagbai project as a golden opportunity for residents to become primary producers of food for nearby communities and workers. Residents welcomed the intervention with enthusiasm. Yamin Paramount Chief Richie Mountain thanked the company and encouraged locals to focus on farming as a path to development. He said depending on company for jobs opportunity will only delay progress and urged the people of the area to use the tools to grow more food and build a future. President Joseph Boakai wants the United Nations and international partners focus on addressing the root causes of Liberia's development challenges. He said there is a need to build a better foundation of peace, adding that when a nation builds an economy that creates jobs and provides services to its people, things will go well. President Barker made a statement when he delivered the keynote speech at the opening of a day-long high-power retreat organized by the Liberian government with partners in Kongatown on Thursday. For his part, Finance Development Planning Minister Augustine Gaffman disclosed that the retreat is intended to focus how to deal with some of the challenges the country is facing. Minister Gaffman added that the retreat also envisioned to honestly address measures and action to be taken to address the turbulence created by the withdrawal of the United States Agency for International Development. The retreat was held under the theme Strengthening Partnerships with the Implementation of Liberia and brought together government ministries and agencies, international partners, and representatives of the civil society organizations. The extradition case involving defendant Otero Brace has opened at the Monrovia City Court with the state lawyers providing evidence in connection to the matter. The state first witness, Councilor Aloyability, told the court that the defendant Brace sexually abused his daughter on numerous occasions in Brookson, Massachusetts, and escaped to Liberia in 2012. Councilor Ability made the statement while responding to questions on the direct examination from the Solicitor General, Councilor Augustine Fayard, as means of building their case against the defendant. Councilability's evidence to the court, according to RCI judicial correspondent, was as a result of a request from the United States government seeking for the extradition of defendant Brooks for criminal prosecution. U.S. government has since indicted the defendant for allegedly raping his 14-year-old daughter and later escaped to Liberia to avoid prosecution in the USA. Following Beretti's account, Councilor Fire informed the court that they had rested with their witness. The matter was adjourned by Magistrate Ben Bacon to reopen on Monday, April 21st, 2025, at the Monrovia City Court, where Councilor Beretti will reappear to respond to answer questions on the cross-examination from the defense lawyer, Councilor James Kuman. Vice President Jeremiah Kuhn has condemned what he calls a deepened, troubling statement made by Prophet Kidd against the Manigo community in Nima County. The people said such divisive comment by Prophet Key Encyclopedia on Wednesday does not reflect his views or the spirit of the Movement for Democracy and Reconstruction campaign. In a statement posted on his official Facebook page early Thursday morning, the vice president noted that his advocacy for a balanced distribution of power in Nima is bent rooted in traditional values and mutual respect among the people. He says since the elections of Senator Nyantuan Jr. and the late senator in 2023 and 2024, the debate around divine Nima as a result of one tribe serving in the Senate has subsided, and the people are now living in relative harmony. VP maintained that the government is making genuine efforts to address long-standing land disputes among families in Ganga, and if anyone has an issue with a particular individual, that issue should be confronted on a personal basis, not by casting blame on an entire group of people. In the same vein, senatorial candidate Samuel Coker has distanced himself and his campaign team from the reckless statement made by Prophet Kidd against the Maningo community in Nima County. Coon condemned the statement as divisive and has the propensity to bring disunity among the people. He apologized to those confronted or offended by the statement, emphasizing that he does not represent the Movement for Democracy and Reconstruction. In a related development, former Vice President Joel Howard Taylor has declared her support for Elif Gonglowe in the pending Nima County by-election. Endorsing Madam Gonglowe on Thursday, the National Patriotic Party political leader said the decision comes from concerned partisans and members of the NPP Executive Committee to unite behind Madam Elif Gonglowe. She described Elif Gonglowe as a respected native of Nima County and a dedicated advocate for good governance and women's empowerment, noting that her election will balance the gender representation within the county. The former VP also addressed the ongoing leadership crisis within the NPP, noting that the party currently lacks an official recognized leadership structure by the National Elections Commission. Chief Dr. Joel Howard Taylor reaffirmed her dedication to democratic principles and party coherence, pledging to collaborate with all loyal partisans to restore the NPP's legitimacy and permanence on the national stage. Her decision to endorse Elif confirms reports of bitter rivalry within the NPP, as some executive members recently endorsed government-backed candidate Samuel Coker. Meanwhile, hours after her endorsement, the chairman of the National Patriotic Party, Anthony George Moba, officially endorsed the candidacy of Samuel Coker. According to Anthony Moba, the decision was reached as an executive committee meeting held last Saturday. He expressed the party's confidence in Representative Samuel Coker, thus calling all NPP partisans in Nima County to support Representative Samuel Coker. Deputy Information Minister Daniel Sano is calling on individuals currently under investigation by the asset recovery team to fully cooperate. Sano emphasized that the asset recovery team's invitation is not a death sentence, urging individuals invited not to be afraid. He especially called on the growers while a company owned by former Chief of Protocol Noah Finabono for refusing to comply with the investigation, describing such action as a direct attempt to undermine the government's anti-corruption efforts. Sando warned that the government's fight against corruption would not be derailed by anyone, regardless of their former position or influence. He criticized the stance taken by Finabondo legal team, who have requested that the matter be taken to court rather than responding to the asset recovery team's summons. Former Deputy Commerce Minister for Small Business Jemima Wodokwali described the recent due payment launched by the Congress for Democratic Change as a matter intended to steal from the ordinary people. Madam Wodokwali, who supported the Unity Party alliance in the presidential runoff election, said most of the people on the leadership of the CDC do not have the ordinary people at heart. It can be recalled in June 2020, the National Executive Committee of the CDC expelled Jemima Wodokwali days after former President George Weah suspended her as Deputy Minister of Commerce for Small Business. Speaking when she appeared on a local radio talk show in Monrovia on Thursday, Madam Wodokwali said some Liberians are victims of the alleged corruption carried out by officials of the CDC. Simply, she said, most of them enriched themselves. The former Moswell County senatorial candidate advised the Unity Party-led government to institute measures intended to better the lives of Liberians and not to repeat mistakes from the CDC-led government. And away from Liberia, U.S. Embassy in Zimbabwe has warned its citizens to be aware of a new intrusive cybersecurity law introduced in the sub-Saharan African countries. The embassy issued an alarm calling on Americans in or planning to visit Zimbabwe or the Zambia of a new law that requires the interception and of all electronic communications in the country. That's the news bulletin. Is back to Nakita Rabos.
Ria TV, True FM.
Say Ria TV, True FM.
On Ria TV,
Into True FM 96.1.
What's the meaning of the black barrel?
The black barrel is to tell Joseph Bakala, if you don't organize yourself in a grateful manner, we'll take your plate.
You might say what you want to say, but for us, we are here to make sure we build our country, that we are respected. We have donors that are coming because of the confidence.
Some news summary of 12. My name is Hansen the representative.
Welcome to News and Analysis 30 minutes of news presentation about Liberia, Africa, and our one world.
Presenting this newscast is proudly sponsored by Orange Liberia and EcoBank Liberia Limited.
How is life after the presidency?
But before the presidency, the same life that what you see. I live a different life. You know, when I was not president, this life that what I live. You know, with my family and
I have a lot of interest in the health sector, the educational sector, and the agriculture sector. Roads, connecting roads.
Yeah, we are calling international community to come to intervene for us because, like I just stated previously, we don't know who to trust.
Always make sure to turn on to our
Ria TV and listening to True FM 96.1.
Many thanks to Johnson Batoma for bringing us the bulletin of news on today's edition of the program News Desk. If you're just joining us, you're listening to 45 minutes of news from the News and Current Affairs Department here at the Renaissance Communications Incorporated. This news program is powered by Orange Liberia and EcoBank Liberia Limited. Top stories we are following tonight. President Joseph Boakai declares Tuesday, April 22nd as a national holiday. Top stories we are following tonight. President Joseph Boakai declares Tuesday, April 22nd, as national holiday to be observed only in Nimba County as he calls on international partners to focus on addressing the root causes of Liberia's development challenges. To promote female representation, former President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf endorses the candidacy of Madam Edith Gongwe in the Nimba senatorial by-election. In an effort to promote agricultural production, ArcelorMittal Liberia donates farming tools and supplies to local farmers in Nimba County. And out of Liberia, U.S. Embassy in Zambia warns its citizens to be aware of a new intrusive cybersecurity law introduced in the Southern African countries. Today's development now, President Joseph Boakai wants the United Nations and international partners focus on addressing the root causes of Liberia's development challenges. He said there is a need to build a better foundation of peace, adding that when a nation builds an economy that creates jobs and provides services to its people, things will be better. President Boakai made the statement when he delivered a keynote speech at the opening of a one-day high-level retreat organized by the Liberian government with partners in Congertown on Thursday. He's President Joseph Boakai. They're calling on international partners to focus on addressing the root causes of Liberia's development challenges. For his part, Finance and Development Planning Minister Augustine Gafford disclosed that the retreat is intended to discuss how to deal with some of the challenges the country is facing.
Today, not a retreat, but to plan to deal with some of the challenges. When I see the sense, this too shall pass. When I see the sense, you are on hope in spite of the challenges. And we have come to discuss honestly as to what mitigating measures, what compensating actions we will take to deal with what I call the new architecture. So, on the front conversations. At the level of the government, we are taking that. We are rationalizing the expenditure. We are reducing this waste and abuse. We are also opening our domestic resource over.
His Finance and Development Planning Minister Augustine Gafford there speaking at a one-day high-level retreat organized by the Liberian government with partners in Congertown on Thursday. In a related development, former President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf has officially endorsed the candidacy of Madam Edith Gongwe in the Nimba senatorial by-election. Madam Sirleaf said Liberia cannot be left behind when other countries are moving forward to give women their rightful place in leadership. The former Liberian president who served the country for 12 years declared that anyone who stops women is stopping progress in the world. Speaking at a fundraising event on Thursday in Monrovia, former President Sirleaf said Edith Gongwe, who serves as superintendent of NIMBA during her administration, showed integrity, dedication, and commitment. She called on Liberian women, particularly the women of Nimba County, to vote for Edith. Thus, former President Ellen Johnson's relief, they're officially endorsing the candidacy of Madam Edith Gongaway in the Nimba senatorial by-election. Related development, former Vice President Joe Howard Taylor has declared her support for Madam Gongaway in the pending Nimba senatorial by-election. Endorsing Madam Gongaway on Thursday, the National Patriotic Party political leader said the decision comes from concerned partisans and members of the MPP's National Executive Committee to unite behind Madam Edith Gongaway. She described Edith Gongaway as a respected native of Nimba County and a dedicated advocate for good governance and women's empowerment, noting that her election will balance the gender representation within the county.
County. I extend my sincere greetings and unwavering commitment to the advancement of inclusive governance in our beloved country. Today, as a long-standing gender advocate, I am honored to publicly endorse the candidacy for Madam Edith Gongaway, the only female contender in the Nimba County senatorial race. I therefore appeal to all citizens of the country, particularly our mothers and sisters, and all loyal members of the National Patriotic Party to stand with Madam Gongaway at the polls. Let us unite to support the competent, reliable, and visionary daughter of the soil who has dedicated her life to the service of our people. Indeed, the time has come for Nimba to balance the senatorial scale. I will let
She's former Vice President of Liberia, Joe Howard Taylor. They're declaring her support for Madam Edith Gongaway in the pending Nimba by-election. Meanwhile, hours after her endorsement, the chairman of the National Patriotic Party, Anthony George Moba, has officially endorsed the candidacy of Samuel Koga. According to Anthony Moba, the decision was reached at an executive committee meeting held last Sunday. He expressed the party as demonstrates confidence in Representative Koga, thus calling on all NPP partisans in Nimba to support the candidacy of Representative Samuel Koga. He is the chairman of the National Patriotic Party, Anthony George Moba, there expressing the party explicit confidence in Representative Samuel Koga. ArcelorMittal Liberia has donated essential farming tools, seeds, and supplies to local farmers in Labala town Yameng District, Nimba County. The support aims to boost vegetable farming, promote food security, and provide alternative livelihood for residents in the company host communities. The initiative has been implemented by the Nimba-based NGO Rural Integrity Center for Community Empowerment. Asilominta Liberia's CEO, Michael Van Damori, says the company wants to help community become more self-reliant and take advantage of growing market opportunities around them.
As you've seen, there's been some upgrades going on recently. Fences going up. We're hoping to get some power and water in the houses to make sure we've got a long-term sustainable project here for our Linabala people. From that, as Samuel has said, the first time I was thinking, this community has got such a huge benefit in terms of where you sit. You are sitting on the main road between Yekepa and Tokare. Every day our people are driving past here. You are the community we see every day. This brings some opportunity for our community here. We're sitting right next to the road. Our plan is to continue to upgrade the road and make the road better. What does it mean? What does that mean for some people here? It means you've got access to road. That means if you can somehow start producing some fruit, vegetable, and food, even whatever we can produce here, got access to the market. There's a lot of people, 2,000, 3,000 people around this area, just working for AML, and even more for contractors. These people must, what do they need to do every day? You need to breathe, you need to eat. So if they need to eat, we need to get the food from somewhere. So you are very, very well placed. You have access to the market, you are very well placed to be a producer, a primary producer and food source for times to come. This is not just a few months or a 1 year or a 2 year project. When we start up our new concentrator now, we'll be employing over 3,000 people there. Some communities are talking all the way from Buchanan to here. It is impossible for AML to employ everybody. I think we all know that. We do our best to employ from the host communities. But then also what we try to do is to make sure we establish alternative livelihoods. We want our community and the people to share in the wealth of Namibia and in the wealth of the country. And this is one way to do it. You see, we don't take our food from Ghana, from Africa, or from Ukraine. We want to produce our own food here in the country. So,
He's Asilominta Liberia's CEO, Michael Van the Maui, that speaking at the donation of essential farming tools, seeds, and supplies to local farmers in Labala Town, Yameng District, Nimba County. Residents welcomed the intervention with enthusiasm. Yameng Paramount Chief Richard Martin thanked the company and encouraged locals to focus on farming as a path to development.
Thanks and appreciation to Aslan family for giving and support agriculture. Be buried in Nimba County, Nigeria. Agriculture help to develop country. We in the Western country haven't been here for yet. That America is more powerful. That's the agriculture base. We don't depend on company every day. Company have to develop. But every day going, asking for work with company, with the all. Open your farm, do your agriculture, planting banana, everything, they pay you up to develop. So I think we need to put out together, implement what the are doing. If continue to make more, to grow more food, the community will develop. More food is important than delay. No depend on company. Company will not grow food for you. But if a company has it and support for you to grow your own food, you need to implement it. So you even send food out of the country. But every day receive from another country, they will not do it. They're not going to swamp and grow more food to help the district and help Nimba County.
His Yameng Paramount Chief Richard Martin Asilamenta says the Labala farming project reflects its broader commitment to sustainable development and inclusive growth in Nimba, Bon, and Brambasa counties. Vice President Jeremiah Cohn has condemned what he calls a deeply troubling statement made by Prophet Kidd against the Madinga community in Nimba County. VP Cohn says such divisive comments by Prophet Kidd in Sacramento on Wednesday does not reflect his values or the spirit of the movement for democracy and reconstruction campaign. In a statement posted on his official Facebook page earlier that's Thursday morning, the vice president noted that his advocacy for a balanced distribution of power in Nimba has been rooted in traditional values and mutual respect among the people. In the same vein, senatorial candidate Samuel Koga has distanced himself from his campaign team, and his campaign team from the reckless statement made by Prophet Kidd against the Madingo community in Nimba. Koga condemned the statement and described it as a divisive politics intended to bring disunity among the people. He apologized to those offended by the statement, emphasizing that it does not represent the movement for democracy and reconstruction.
Also, the for the statement made by the yesterday in our endorsement separately, and the statement that has to do with starting a particular area with Maniwo strongly protests such a statement. They have a propensity to bring division and slavery of Lima. Why the sugar in Lima, there are some pertinent issues, but that cannot go to another level of some capitalism. So we appeal to the consciences of any other citizen of Lima who offended by the statement. We sorely condemn against such a statement. Why the sugar accepts the endorsement of a new by endorsing us, we also condemn the statement target no electricity serious that it does not come from the camp of Kuga or not the energy at all. So we made a personal statement, but we don't want to be part to distance ourselves so still.
His senatorial candidate Samuel Koga there distancing himself and his campaign team from the reckless statement made by Prophet Key against the Mandingo community in Nimba County. The extradition case involving defendant Otello's Bruce has opened at the Monrovia City Court, with the state lawyers providing evidence in connection to the matter. The first witness, Councillor Aliu Belati, told the court that defendant Bruce sexually abused his daughter on numerous occasions in Boston, Massachusetts, and escaped to Liberia on that's Liberia on that's in 2012. Councilability made the statement while responding to question on the direct examination from the Solicitor General, Councillor Augustine Fayad, as a means of building their case against the defendant. Councilability evidence to the court, according to RCR judicial correspondent, was as a result of a request from the United States government informing the Liberian government about extraditing the defendant Bruce back to America for criminal prosecution. Following Bility's account to the court, the chair of the Independent National Human Rights Commission, Councillor Dempster Brown, has advised the government of Liberia to extradite defendant Otello Bruce to the United States of America to face criminal prosecution for raping his daughter.
I want to go to you having said the whole the 3-year-old child began right violated. You have no feeling for your own daughter, so especially below to go through the rest of the kids. I told you to the indictment from the United States, so you believe in indictment. Yeah, the bread you don't come up with the how he was indicted. So the Human Rights Commission is saying and it's saying about the American need to be tried because that means the way clearly right have been violated. Say that I want to say that you have to judgment. We are human rights people. We are advising the government to send the man back to America for trial. The everything is not a political case. In our political case, we have the government and send him back. I will be assault, sexual assault, EDC assault, send the man back and the military to the court. That is a sign of guilt. When you come to the library that he admitted that he did it, because of that, we're able to speak with the as a human rights activist. So we have a procedure that we don't get the merit of the case until we go to speak with the defendant to get it to the side. Next time we'll talk to him about doing it now. So as a lawyer and a human rights lawyer, so the indictment and for all the issues that came from America, they will not allow on the man. I'm telling you something. Nobody will admit that we raise their notice into the American government. That is true. And if they believe in the rule of law, they may have to do a process in the United States. We advise the government to send it back. Let them believe it.
Is the chair of the Independent National Human Rights Commission, Councillor Dempster Brown, there calling on the government of Liberia to extradite defendant Othello Bruce to the United States to face criminal prosecution for raping his daughter. Deputy Information Minister Daniel Sangar is calling on individuals currently under investigation by the Asset Recovery Team to fully cooperate. Sangar emphasized that the Asset Recovery Team's invitation is not a death sentence, urging individuals impacted not to fear. He specifically called out Gracious Right, a company owned by former Chief of Protocol Fina Bonner, for refusing to comply with the investigation, describing such action as a direct attempt to undermine the government's anti-corruption efforts. And former Deputy Commerce Minister for Small Business Jemima Wolokoli has described the recent due payment launched by the Congress for Democratic Change as a mentor intended to steal from the ordinary Liberians. Madam Wolokoli, who supported the Unity Party alliance in the presidential runoff election, said most of the people on the leadership of the CDC do not have the ordinary people at heart. Speaking when she appeared on a local radio talk show in Monrovia on Thursday, Madam Wolokoli says some Liberians are victims of the alleged corruption carried out by officials of the Congress for Democratic Change.
I was so astonished when I heard that they were calling a rally to siphon or to extort money from the very people they made poor. That is in poverty. They made themselves for the years and they forgot about the common people. And now they are calling them back to extort money from them. I mean, it was very confusing. I couldn't understand why we don't want to do that. So my point is, because they are so unpopular, they will have to travel bosses. Most of the people were people from different political parties who went to sit and they want to hear the lies that they have to put out. And like people are not teachers are not people. You let the people, you made them poorer, and you let them. And now you are seamlessly calling them.
She's former Deputy Commerce Minister for Small Business Jemima Wolokoli. They're describing the recent due payment launched by the Congress for Democratic Change as a mentor intended to steal from the ordinary Liberians. To end this newscast, a recap of the top stories we have been following tonight. President Joseph Boakai declares Tuesday, April 22nd, as national holiday to be observed only in Nimba County as he calls on international partners to focus on addressing the root causes of Liberia's development challenges. To promote female representation, former President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf endorses the candidacy of Madam Edith Gongaway in the Nimba senatorial by-election. In an effort to promote agriculture production, ArcelorMittal Liberia donates farming tools and supplies to local farmers in Nimba County. And out of Liberia, U.S. Embassy in Zambia warns its citizens to be aware of a new intrusive cybersecurity law introduced in these Southern African countries. Many thanks to our contributors, our editors, our writers, and all those who helped in making today's edition of the program News Desk a success. Not forgetting our sponsors, Orange Liberia and EcoBank Liberia Limited. Johnson Batoman brought us the Bulletin of News. Kopo Sangar coordinated the sounds. We apologize we could not bring you sports tonight. I've been Akita Robert presenting. Good night.
Ria TV, True FM.
Ria TV, True FM.
On Ria TV, into True FM. That is it.